Welcome back again to the Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Starting lineup, I'm Tony Curry along with the legend and Keefer.
I'm back.
We have got a monster show for you here from 10:30, 11 o'clock every Saturday morning. And of course, that's going to butt up against the SEC on ABC coming up here in just a few short months as we get ready for college football. But Kipper-spective, what do we got on Kipper-spective today?
Kipper-spective is going to talk about a recent program on sports I just watched that I found to be quite uncomfortable and disturbing.
Okay, that certainly will make me stick around and watch that.
Also, Case Keefer's coming up. He's going to have Vegas heaters. He's been on a roll as per usual. Case is going to bring you that report from Las Vegas. And I'm really looking forward to we're going to see right at the conclusion of our open here, last Saturday, our man right here sitting next to me, legend, hosted Game Time in solo fashion, his debut as the man at the mic, and he had a very special first-time caller get in touch. It was the classic Trading Places role reversal, superstar radio sports talk host calling brand new radio superstar caller turn host. It's just classic stuff. We'll have it for you.
Goodness gracious, it sure is. That's a nice little setup there for you, my man.
Yeah, and in Legend Cave today, we will have the A-Day, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the A-Day.
Is Clint Eastwood going to be on?
Yeah, Clint's coming into the cave with me, so that's what's happening in the cave today.
We're going to be doing some bone fragments today, too. Just because you won a national title, does that give you the right to be an a-hole? Because we got a bunch of them out there. You know, a lot of people go, yeah, he's such a jerk, but you know what? He's won a couple national titles. Is that enough? Also, we have a very special birthday, and a radio station that wants to employ all three of us is opening up in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm going to make you a job offer. You just can't.
Right here on the air?
Right here on the air, coming up here in just a few minutes on. I just got the phone call this morning. The three of us may be out of the Birmingham market in syndication in Cincinnati by the end of this show. I'm just telling you. It's Bone Fragments coming up here.
That drops the mic before the next segment.
Well, we got a lot going on. It's going to be a fantastic show. And again, we do it every Saturday morning. We've been doing it for years, man. Check us out. Tell all your friends and family. Follow us on social media platforms everywhere and watch the starting lineup.
Legend, this is a dilemma. Mike DeBose, you knew he was going to, I mean, he was an idiot, okay? Mike Shua, you knew couldn't coach. So, I mean, every time Alabama's had one of these tweeners, you knew there would be an end at some point. DeBoer could hang on a while, and I know I'm ruining your breakfast this morning, but he's good enough to get into that playoff. He's good enough to win a game. Is he good enough to win it all? And that's where I really struggle. I don't think he is. And the problem I have with DeBoer is that he doesn't talk like Nick Saban. He doesn't talk like Kirby Smart. By the way, I interviewed John Summerall the other day. He doesn't talk like John Summerall. This guy is scary, okay? I mean, he talks physical football because he's a defensive coach. Kalen DeBoer is a cute offensive coach, and he is not going to scare anybody. And I realize in today's football, Legend, it's a little bit different, but you have to intimidate. You have to win. You have to win some of these games before they start. How did Alabama lose to Florida State? They lost that game when they let the quarterback down there run his mouth all summer, and they didn't do anything about it. And I mean, by the second or third quarter, that guy was laughing. And I just don't see it. Ryan Grubb's not like that. That's what this program needs, and I don't think they have it. Having said all that, I think DeBoer is just good enough to make this thing go on for a while. But he is a good football coach. I don't dispute that, and I know you don't dispute that.
No.
But is he a good football coach at Alabama? It's a unique place, and the reason why it's unique is that I remember during the DeBose years and the Shua years, and that during that era where Alabama might be 4-8, but a caller like Legend is going to call in and say, you know what, we may be 4-8, but we're going to kick next year. We've won 12 national championships or 15. I don't hear that anymore. All I hear are excuses for Kalen DeBoer. He's had to take over for Nick Saban. He's had some tough breaks. He's got a young team. That is not germane any longer. And I think Cignetti, for whether you like him or not, destroyed that myth. He took a bunch of a bunch of misfits and won a national championship. Now, he did have the help of a great quarterback coming in, but a lot of those guys Alabama didn't want half those players. Alabama didn't want Cignetti. And by the way, there's no reason Alabama should have wanted Cignetti based on his past. But what Greg Byrne did is he went to ChatGPT and said, find me a great football coach with a good record who will do a nice job, not a championship. And the question I ask, you have to ask this for every Alabama coach: can he win a national championship? Don't tell me that Kalen DeVore played for a national championship. I watched the game like you did. But can he win a national championship at Alabama? Do you have an answer for that?
Step back into the groove and then into the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Check this out. It's all happening here.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino is the local place to win.
Good times right here.
Let the Birmingham Racecourse Casino bring the good times to you. The Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where the good times roll.
Where you could be a winner too. Yeah, boy.
Welcome back to the starting lineup. This little segment called Bone Fragments. And it's just kind of like fragments, things that kind of wander around this big head of mine, just thinking about. You know, we always talk about championship quarterbacks and championship coaches. We always wonder, you know, if you're a winner, can you deserve or do you deserve to be an a-hole? And I can certainly make that argument for Dan Hurley. Don't like Dan Hurley. Everyone hates Dan Hurley. They're glad they didn't win the national title. But Dan Hurley's won 2 national titles. He had a chance to win 3 of the last 4 years. So does he deserve to be an a-hole? Another guy who has won 12 national titles. He's been to 24 Final Fours. He's had 6 perfect undefeated seasons. He holds the record not only for the longest winning streak in women's basketball at 111 games, and I remember us going through that, man, people were starting to show up at bars watching that winning streak. He holds the record for the top 4 longest winning streaks in women's basketball. He has got 30 conference tournament championships. He's 42-1 in USA basketball and has 2 gold medals. Gino Auriemma. Gino's actually been on several of my shows over the last few years. I love Gino. He's a good friend of mine and a friend of Aldo Greco's. So I'm going to be soft here. But Gino, we always say it, act like you've been there before. What was that whole Dawn Staley thing, man? I know you apologized for it in his own Gino kind of way. But again, you win 12 natties, you deserve to be an a-hole. In this particular case, maybe you do. Just a thought, Auburn fans. Would you rather go to the big dance and lose in the first round or win an NIT championship? Just ask the question. Just ask the question. Just think about it for a minute. Not a good look for the Auburn Tigers. And for the first time ever, it now costs over $300,000 to raise a child. It came out this past weekend. From the age of 0 to 18, it will now cost you $307,843 to raise a child, which comes out roughly somewhere between $16,000 and $18,000 a year. If you're one of these people that's getting by week to week, maybe you just got married, you're doing it the right way, you don't have a child before you get married, you actually do it the way you're supposed to, get married and then have a child, and maybe even have a discussion about it. How many children should we have, right? It's going to cost you $18,000 a year from this point forward for the next 18 years to have a child. Something you just perhaps want to think about. With that being said, I'm so happy that 14 years ago this past Sunday, I had one of my children. Actually, my ex did. And if there's one thing I can thank my ex for, she gave me 18 wonderful years of marriage, and I appreciate her. But we share 3 beautiful children, Santo, Xavier, who of course is in the studio with us once in a while, and my lovely daughter, 14 years of age. She turned 14 this past Sunday. She's the most amazing female I've ever met. She's amazing. I know a lot of people said you deserve to have a girl in your life because that's the way God gets back at you for all the ways you've treated women in your entire life. I got news for you, man. She's going to know what it takes to be a man and to be a great curry because she's going to have doors held open for her. She's going to be eating filet mignon. She's not expensive. She just has good taste. But the next boyfriend she has, whenever that is, when I allow her to date at the age of like 32, 33 years old of age, you better take care of my little baby girl. She turned 14. Happy birthday to Lila Jane Curry. And finally, come over here for a minute, guys. I got an idea. Come on over here real quick. On this date in 1978, a show came on television called WKRP in Cincinnati, and I got it on a good rep. I actually worked up in Cincinnati at 96 Rock in 1984 through 86, something like that. I know the new program director of the brand new real WKRP in Cincinnati. They got the call letters, they got the stick. It's in downtown Cincinnati. It's right across the hallway from WLW, of course, the flagship
that's
station of Cincinnati
legendary.
Reds.
Yeah.
And I have it on good information that if we want to go up there and do some work, they would love to have the legend. They love to have the Kip Keefer, and they love to have the Tone the Bone up there to work at WKRP in Cincinnati. So I'm going to have to ask you, of all the people that were on KRP Legend, who'd you best emulate from the WKRP days? Were you Herb Tarlick? Were you Les Nessman?
Definitely not Les.
No, not.
Definitely not Les. I don't know. I don't know if they had a legend.
You know what? I don't
Johnny,
think that
Johnny Fever would be probably
Maybe
the closest.
Johnny Fever.
Johnny Fever?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. You probably maybe do a little Venus flytraps.
No,
You got some candles burning a little bit. Burning. Now the Kip, I could think he reminded me a little bit of the program director.
Yeah, I got a
from
little
WKRP.
Andy in me and a little Herb Tarlick, unfortunately.
Oh, and I'll take it out of segment by saying, "Oh, the humanity, the live as turkeys." You may be seeing Kip, legend Tony Curry on WKRP in Cincinnati.
Awesome.
That's right here on the starting lineup.
Hey, welcome to the Legend Cave, where few men have ever sat with me right here. I'm talking about the great Kip Keefer, Tony Curry, Monty Bauer, Paul Feinbaum. I'm talking Tupac and Ronnie Van Zant and Elvis, baby. Only the greats get in the Legend Cave. And we're talking this week about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the A-Day game this past weekend for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's first talk about the good. Keon Russell. Very, very good, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very good. We have been waiting for this young man to mature. We have been waiting for this young man to show his talent. And at A-Day, Keon Russell was the star. 7 out of 9 drives ended up in touchdowns. I know you didn't see it because they don't show it on television no more. I'll get to that in a minute. But Keon Russell was a star. There were some other stars that you need to know about. Ryan Hollywood Williams finally looks like a number 1 receiver. He no longer looks like the 17-year-old kid with a teddy bear walking into the athletic center. He looks like a grown man. Now, you can tell he's been in the weight room, and he's talking like a number 1 receiver, and he looks like a number 1 receiver. What else is good? Let me tell you about something else that's good. Alabama will have the best secondary in the nation next year. They return 4 starters led by Bray Hubbard and Keon Sapp on the backside of that defense. They are veterans. They are long. Nobody is less than 6'2". They are absolutely ball hawks. They will cover up a lot of mistakes on this Alabama team. That's the good. The bad? Who the hell knows when it comes to our offensive and defensive line? You could flip a coin. It could be good. It could be bad. Who knows? We will have the least experienced offensive line in the nation going into the first game of the season. No one will be more than a sophomore on this starting unit unless somebody from the second or third unit accidentally wins a job on the first unit. This is alarming. This is not good, Alabama. This is not how you win championships. The bad? Who knows who our linebackers are? We don't have I've never heard of some of our linebackers. Who knows? This is a problem, Alabama. At Alabama, we should have stars on spitting. We should have stars on every level of the defense. We should have stars on every level of the offense. We got stars, just not on every level. And that's bad, Alabama. Now let's talk about the ugly. And I know Tony Curry thinks I'm talking about myself, but I'm not. No. But listen to me. This is what's ugly, Alabama. That nobody could watch this on TV. That's plumb pathetic. And you know why it is, Alabama? They're afraid somebody's going to steal one of their second or third string players. You know what else is pathetic? What's ugly? Nick Saban had 90,000 people down there in his third year cheering a possible national championship on ESPN, and Saturday you had 22,000, Greg Byrne. 22,000 and not a TV network in sight. Where are we going? Is that what football is now? We so afraid somebody gonna steal our third string tight end. There's damn poor people in this state that would like to get excited about Alabama football. Put it back on TV. Y'all discuss me more every day. The good, the bad, and the ugly, ladies and gentlemen. The good, we got some stars. The bad, who knows in the trenches. And the ugly, start showing spring games on television so real fans can see it again. This has been the Legend Cave. I hear you, Bear. Bear said, y'all better straighten up down at Alabama. Remember, it's just a game. Don't be like Bear and Legend. Plum sports insane.
Hey, it's Case Keefer back for another edition of the Vegas Heaters as part of the starting lineup. I'm a longtime sports bettor, sports betting writer, along with assistant sports editor for Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly. We were oh so close to maybe the best week in Vegas Heaters history. Of course, started with cashing Michigan 25-1 to win the national championship from preseason. We already celebrated that one. But then we had a two-shot lead at the Masters with 13 holes to play with Cameron Young. Unfortunately, of course, was not meant to be. Rory McIlroy wins his second straight. We were on Rory last year, not so much this year. Always feels bad to not have the Masters winner. I think this is the first time since like 2020 for me. The DJ one I didn't have, Dustin Johnson one I didn't have. But I bet Scheffler both the times he did, one time after the second round, so it's kind of an asterisk on that one. Hurts not to get there. I don't think Cameron Young really deserved it, though. He played so well Saturday, however, really got some fortunate breaks. He felt like he'd come back to the pack on Sunday. Don't have anything yet for the next major, the PGA Championship. You know, golf is our bread and butter here. I am maybe kind of a little looking at Russell Henley. Feel like he's getting a lot of love lately, so I'd like to get in on him before that price crashes. Speaking of that, I like him this week at the RBC Heritage. Bet him 20-1. If I had to make one bet this week, that would be him. However, one great event over the Masters, some more are rolling around. We have the start of the NHL and the NBA playoffs this year, which we always like to dabble into. Now, at the time of recording, we don't really have the full bracket set for the NHL. Hard to give my huge opinions or give out bets in that market. However, I will say that I'm mostly going to be standing pat. If you've been watching this show every week, you know I gave out the Avalanche almost this time last year to win the Stanley Cup at 12-1. They've been the best team all year. I still think they are very, very likely to come out of the West, probably even more likely than the odds indicate. Done a little bit of kind of load management, kept some guys out longer at the end of the year. Still a clear President's Trophy winner. It does hurt a little bit. Then in the second round, they're going to play Dallas or Minnesota, probably the second best team in the West. It's between those two, but I still think Colorado probably gets there. And then also before the season, I bet Tampa Bay to come out of the East, I'm a little bit more worried about. They've kind of been sliding late in the season. They've been the clear second best team in the NHL, though. However, I do think the draw kind of benefits them. They don't end up winning the division. Buffalo does, who we also bet Lindy Ruff to win Coach of the Year award. It looks like that's going to happen. So good on us. I wish I would have bet them in the division, but that's okay. I think Buffalo's run a little bit hot. I think if Tampa gets out of the first round against Montreal, who's now a little bit banged up, I think Tampa's a little bit healthier. They've kind of taken the Colorado route of not being, totally pushing all these guys to play all these minutes. So I think Tampa's pretty good there. The teams I'm really worried about are Carolina and Ottawa. For a while, it looked like Ottawa would be up in that Atlantic part of the bracket. However, they end up playing Carolina in the first round. So great scenario for those of us who have Tampa Bay, that the two teams that I think are the biggest threats, both in the bottom half of the bracket, really similar teams too. They both, if you look at the metrics, they are two of the probably 5 or 6 best teams in the NHL. They score a ton. However, big problems in goalie, in net. They've both given up a lot of goals. So I might be looking at Ottawa at an underdog price at that one. I just think both these games are going to be crazy. Obviously, if I just have to pick one team, it's going to be Carolina. But I think it might be more like 55-45 than the 60+% win percentage that Carolina, that the odds are implying. So I might be looking a little bit in Ottawa on that side. The West bracket, like I said, at the time of recording, we do not have any information. But right now I'm just sticking it out with Colorado and Tampa. Kind of a similar story in the NBA from a macro perspective. I said I knew it wasn't sexy, but going into the year, you could get Oklahoma City as high as plus 225 to repeat as champions. I said that's the only bet you can make. I made as big as a bet as I could on that, use some boost to get it a little bit higher. I still think this is so clearly Oklahoma City. In fact, I still think there's even value on them. Any plus money, if you just want something to put in your account, get a ticket, root for the whole playoffs. I think Oklahoma City wins this. Maybe a little bit more creative way to do it. You could bet Shai Gilgeous-Alexander plus 130 to be finals MVP. That's a little bit higher than the plus 120, plus 125 on Oklahoma City. I mean, the only way I feel like that doesn't happen is if he gets injured. Now, this isn't an exact science. 2 years ago when I said Boston was the clear winner, in the same probably week segment, I said bet Jason Tatum to win NBA Finals MVP. Obviously, Jaylen Brown ends up doing it. We did get to buy out at that point, so we didn't lose any money. So there's always those buyout too. Something crazy happens if Jalen Williams or Chet Holmgren just really takes off and steps up to another level. But I do think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to win NBA Finals MVP is a good way to do that. Or if you just want to be safer, just take the Thunder to win the finals. I don't see anyone beating them, to be honest. I do think that second round series between Denver, San Antonio, that could be interesting. I'll probably be looking to get in some underdog prices at Denver. People say there's no upsets in the NBA. That's just not true. Every year there's a lot of upsets in the playoffs. A lot of times the best team does end up winning. Speaking of that, in the East, I do have two underdogs that, kind of have my attention. One I have already bet. One is just speculative. Again, with our recording schedule, I'm not 100% sure of what the series is going to be. But the one underdog I have already bet, the closest team to you guys down there in Birmingham, I'm all over the Hawks against the Knicks. Now, if I just have to pick the winner, I'm going to just slightly say the Knicks, but the Hawks are available like plus 260 to win the series. I think I bet. Might have gone down now to more like the plus 245 range. That's fine. I took a sprinkle on that, but really what I love and the bigger bet for me here was the Hawks plus 1.5 games. I think I got slight plus money on that. I really think this at least goes 7. I think this Hawks team is so tough for anyone to play against, just with their shooting ability, with their length, all these long defenders that harass everyone. Dyson Daniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's about to win Most Improved Player, and Jalen Johnson, who probably has a case for that the last few years as well. I think Atlanta's going to be really tough there. And the other team I like, we see some 8 seeds beat some 1 seeds once. They have to win the final playing game, but Charlotte is a juggernaut that's kind of under the radar because their win-and-loss record has not been as good as all their metrics. I really think they can bring it to Detroit. Now, it's possible I just have an anti-Detroit bias because I've been against them all year. I bet them under win total. They end up getting the number 1 seed. But I really feel like they got there because they just played harder than everyone. They went all out. It's a classic case of a young team kind of gelling, but just playing harder than people in the regular season. Usually we see teams like that not go great in their first time where a lot of expectations are on them in the playoffs. So I'll probably be betting Charlotte the same way I was betting Orlando. Take a little taste of them at a big plus money to win the series, and definitely look at the plus 1.5, plus 2.5. So Charlotte and Orlando, 2 Southeastern teams I think could make some noise in the NBA. That's the NBA and the NHL playoffs from a betting perspective here in Las Vegas. Thanks for checking out another Vegas Heaters. Let's see what the rest of the starting lineup has on tap for us.
Welcome, everybody. Kipper-spective is on the starting lineup this Saturday morning. Hope your weekend's off to a fantastic start. We're just a week away from the Kentucky Derby. We're going to cover it extensively. The Run for the Roses at Churchill Downs. Gave you a couple horses last week. Going to have the full-scale report coming up next Saturday, so don't miss that. I'm a little uncomfortable right now because I'm kind of getting the reputation a little bit of the getting a little bit up in the years kind of guy, the get off my lawn kind of persona. I don't mean to be negative. I'm not a negative person by nature, but there are some things that bother me from time to time. And I saw one that I wanted to kind of put out there on this edition of Kipper-spective. Of course, when SportsCenter first came along, it was an iconic, breakthrough, groundbreaking idea. SportsCenter, I was just getting out of high school when it debuted. It was something it was can't miss TV. You had to see it. Absolute must see TV. The highlights were great. The hosts were great. The show was entertaining. It was fast moving, but it really caught you up on everything. I mean, I remember the days in my younger years where each newspaper had like a hotline and you had to call on the phone to get the scores of the games. There was no other place to get them. The local sports stations didn't give you reports outside your own market. Anyway, with all that being said, I just happened to catch the end of a SportsCenter recently. Probably haven't watched SportsCenter, haven't certainly watched a SportsCenter from start to finish in 25 years probably now. But I saw the last few minutes, something, I was flipping around, and I just watched, and I'm absolutely appalled with what I saw. The first story was about 2 soccer friendlies being conducted in the Caribbean, Canada and Costa Rica, and they showed one highlight and put up the score. Canada won 1-0 or something. And then the big story on the friendly soccer front, the USA and Trinidad Tobago. How many dudes live in Trinidad Tobago? We've got 350 million of us here in America, and Trinidad Tobago, the U.S. did win 2-0, which is another stick in my craw. We don't say nil in any other circumstance except for we're talking about soccer. 2-0, and it was a big win for the United States and a friendly tonight against Trinidad Tobago. Are you kidding me? Is that what we're reduced to? And it gets worse. The next segment was about a 5-minute deal interviewing this female, very attractive female, who is one of the superstars coming up in WrestleMania. Okay, they're talking about all these different dramas and interactions and rivalries in WrestleMania. Folks, this is a sports center. It is not the, wild ass show kind of a deal. But yet we're because ESPN has the rights now to the WWE, we have to endure a superstar from WrestleMania talking like she's a legitimate sports person. This is still scripted, folks. All of you addicts to wrestling, this isn't real. Has anyone never explained that to you? This is a show. This is not a sport. And then I guess they had like 30 seconds left in the show. So guess what? And here's a little highlight. Watch this great shot by so-and-so in tonight's game between Providence and I don't remember who the other city was in the Women's National Lacrosse League. The National Women's Lacrosse League? My God, what have we become? I'm Kip Keefer. That's the perspective for this week.
Welcome back to Starting Lineup. At any given time, you can turn on the TV, turn on the radio, turn on the internet, and see one of us three on somewhere. As a matter of fact, I started a brand new show on 101.1 The Truth. That's right, Tony Curry on Christian radio. What? Are you serious?
Hallelujah.
From strip clubs to Bible study. God is good. We have a show that runs from 5 to 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. Mickey Ferguson, our good friend from Fox 6, joined us a little bit. We're going to have, of course, James Spann joining us here from ABC 3340. He's going to join the show. So we talk about business, sports, movies, Jesus. It's good stuff. We do that every Monday through Friday between 5 and 6. And I know you've been hosting some things as well, my friend.
Yeah, game time every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 on Jocks, 94.5 on your FM dial. You can tune in and hear Kip and the Legend. We've blown it up. The most informative, crazy sports show on radio in the nation. Tune in on Jocks every Saturday morning from 8 to 10. Here, Kip and the Legend.
Kip, you're everywhere too, bro.
I'm trying. Well, I'll add one thing to Legend on Game Time. If you want a different approach to sports talk radio, we are your men. I promise you. Don't miss it on Saturday morning. I want to ask everybody to, if you're a Facebook person, go to Kip Keefer Sports. That website is completely going crazy right now. We started last September with 920 followers. We're right on the verge of going over 6,000 now, and it's growing every week, every month. It's blowing up. We got all the information on all of our shows. Check it out, Kip Keefer Sports on Facebook. We're also on TikTok, YouTube, X. You can find us anywhere. Keep in touch with everything that's happening in the world of Kip Keefer Sports.
A week closer to the Derby next Saturday right here on ABC 3340.
Can't wait.
Have yourself a great weekend.